Hi there, this is John Green, Global Director of Product Management at Back Office Associates. Today I'd like to walk you through a presentation, 25 minutes, 30 minutes maybe, discussing our data quality offering. And we'll discuss in a little more detail how that data quality offering works with regard to the components that make it up and the processes that we can instill within your business to bring the greatest value in resolving data quality issues and the impact they have on your business. We are a global company at Back Office Associates, and we're providing solutions across all vertical industries with global delivery capabilities as well. So not only just the software, but also a services organization to back that up, delivering the tools and the methodology and the approach to resolve the business problems that you're facing. As you can see from the snapshot of customers, very large name customers around the world. We're headquartered out of the US with additional headquarters in London and down in Singapore as well in the APJ region. So we have full global coverage for organizations there that need that coverage. We have services offices around further locations as well, and development centers in a number of locations in the US and in India, as well as in Europe as well. So let's look at data quality and some of the scenarios that require that data quality improvement, and really some of the things that happen to businesses where data quality causes a problem. So process interruptions, bad data causing processing failures. So that could be a business process around order to cash, procure to pay, or it could be anywhere within that business. We're not just dealing with large enterprise systems, it could be in any of your applications where data is flowing between these various enterprise systems that you have. It could be in the data quality assessment and getting lack of visibility in critical business areas. So data quality assessments will allow us to work in a number of different scenarios, whether that's a precursor to a migration, whether that's a precursor to starting to implement full information governance, active and passive data quality or data governance. All of those things benefit from a data quality assessment up front. Costly error handling. A lot of time we see with data quality issues where there's a high cost to fixing those data issues, whether it's the impact on the business and the delay in a business process, or whether it's in the actual resolution process itself. So sending the data, finding where that data is, having IT extract it, sending that to a various onshore or offshore resource to look at it initially, then reviewing it, and then having to manually post that data back in to resolve those issues. And maybe that data is also starting out outside of the business in third parties. So those error handling resolutions can't be just put in place because you don't own the data originally. Regulatory compliance. Obviously, we're very big, as you may have seen from some of those names on that previous slide. We have a lot of business in that regulatory area, a lot in pharma, finance, etc. And there's a requirement there with regulatory compliance to ensure that the quality of the data supports the business process, but also the reporting requirements for auditing, etc., be that GXP, FDA, etc. in the pharma space, or outside that with other regulations under the finance side. High data volumes and increasing use of third-party data sets. So, we all hear about big data and the impact that's having on the business. Well, more and more of that data coming through your business, it only needs to be a small issue in the data quality that can have a dramatic effect on that large data volume set and the impact that's having to you. And of course, if we take a look at it from an analytics, whether it's machine learning, whether it's old school, the analytics side of things with business intelligence, as we would have called it, all of those impacts, obviously, with poor data quality, guides us to getting a lack of insight, a lack of effective insight into that, into the business processes we're trying to report upon. So poor address quality, poor data quality, missing data, or invalid data can cause all sorts of issues when you're trying to summarize that and trying to get an aggregated view, or to improve processes by using nowadays machine learning around that data set as well. So when we talk about levels of data quality, it's very easy for us using IT tooling to get technically valid data. Will the data physically fit? Will the ones and zeros fit into those fields? Will the bar charts fit into their field structure, etc.? So knowing the data types will get you so far. But it's only going to say, does the data fit within the target system? It's not going to get us to the point where the data is supporting the business. Is it relevant to the business processes? Does it provide the insight and the background that we need to run a business process correctly? So we're moving from level 1 to level 2 once we understand that relevance. And that's as applicable in data quality as it is in a migration example where you look for the relevant data to migrate through, another one of our solutions in this space. Business ready, where we are now checking, we're having the data, and we're starting to get that data that is fit for purpose to make it business ready. The next level up, we start to look at reconciliation. The reconciliation or the harmonization of data across the enterprise. And again, very important in a migration scenario where we're proving that what was signed off, that the business said was ready to support the business, is now valid and loaded into that target system. But it's just applicable in the data quality space. If we take an example where master data is being pushed out around the organization, then we need to ensure that the relevant elements, the global elements of that master data that should be aligned, are still aligned. And that's talked about with the harmonization of that architecture. If people are managing localizations or local attributes, that's fine. But if they're starting to make modifications to those global attributes, which prevents us from then summarizing the machine learning and all those analytics that we want to run, then we've got an issue. And that's where that harmonization approach comes into play, or the reconciliation aspect. And what we're looking to do really is put together the workflow, the orchestration, and we always talk about orchestration with our solutions. It's about orchestrating governance, it's orchestrating quality, and it's orchestrating migration. In this case, we're talking about quality. But it's putting in place the relevant stewards, the relevant management, and the relevant metrics to support those teams to allow them to validate and authorize their data so that they have full visibility over that data and an understanding of it, so the proper stakeholders are involved and they get that data. We'll talk about it later, the right data at the right time with the right people. So when we're looking at data quality, we're not just talking about monitoring. We're not just talking about getting visibility of the problems. We're about providing a way of remediating those errors. And the way we do that is about creating that closed loop that we talk about. So it's allowing us to take the data, understand, manage it, and look at that impact and understand the impact of it, and then making a decision as to when we are and what process we're going to use to remediate that data. Providing full capability, providing coverage of all data elements. We're not limited to just master data, transactional data, or operational. We cover the entire data set. And it's about getting better running systems through better data. So we're using the assignment of that, monitoring that data quality and the remediation processes where applicable to then allow us to put in that monitoring, that ownership process, which then allows us to create that cycle that we want to do in improving the quality of data. And this can sit alongside active governance processes. So this can sit alongside master data governance. This could sit alongside where you're looking to create customers, create vendors, create material, those classic things that you would look to do in an active data governance approach. This can support that by further assessing and allowing us to assess other data elements, or also check data where we're not in control of that, or we haven't gone as far as implementing an active governance process. It allows us to take the first step along that data governance or information governance path by moving into data quality first and allowing that process to be instilled. So what we see a lot of the times when we come on site and when we talk to clients is that they have, at the moment, a reactive data quality process for improvement. So there's already that idea that they want to improve. They're aware that there is bad data quality, but it tends to be an inefficient or ad hoc process that they're following. So it tends to be that a problem has occurred, someone has had an issue where they are potentially then made aware of it, they've then had to build some reporting. There tends to be very little governance over that change or mass change capability that's required to fix the problem. And then we've got very little control to prevent that happening moving forward. And that really sums up and gives us very inefficient data quality projects. It also gives us a lack of visibility. And in that regulatory space that I mentioned earlier, that's going to be an issue. If you haven't got full audit capability over the data quality issues you're resolving and the remediation processes that are being performed, then you're going to have a problem when it comes to external auditors or internal auditing and proving what you did, when you did it, and who made those changes. So what we bring to play are two components, DSP Compose and DSP Monitor. They're sold as one, so DSP Monitor is the solution that we're talking about today and that I'm going through, but it utilizes two of our components within the data stewardship platform. And what we're looking to do really there is to be proactive. We're allowing you to create a proactive approach for monitoring the data quality with centralized reporting, automated tracking, auditing, changes, etc., and approval processes, so a full orchestration and workflow capability around the data quality processes. And it allows us to route the data errors to the relevant stakeholders. So it's far more controlled in its process of allowing us. Now, we can still fix things very quickly, and I'll talk about that exactly, how we reduce the time to resolution really by creating that quality remediation, but changing it to proactive from that initial inefficient or ad hoc process that we were looking at there. So this really follows on from that slide, and what we're seeing there with this ad hoc approach. We tend to see where data entry has come into the system, and data entry could come in from multiple different areas. That could be manual entry by users, that could be a third-party data set, that could be interfaces between various applications or external applications into your business landscape. We all open up now to, you know, direct to customer, etc. like this. So there are multiple entry points of bad data entering the system. When that bad data comes into the system, you are going to get those business interruptions. Those business interruptions can cause, it could be various. It could be an absolutely enormous problem to the business, or it could be a very small thing that just keeps eating away and will in the end cause some very bad delays. Could be in the supply chain, could be, as I say, it could be in the order to cash processes, it could be in finance, it could be all sorts of areas. It's not limited to one area. It could be data coming in from sensors, etc., which is causing those problems. Now, what we tend to find with a business interruption in these ad hoc processes is that then somebody needs to go and extract some data, do some investigation, and try and bring that data out for review. Then once IT, who would normally be involved in that process, would then bring that data out, they'll look to isolate the errors, maybe fix the interface, but they're also looking to get business involvement to try and get that data set resolved, because IT don't own that data, but oftentimes they're tasked with fixing those errors. So it tends to take a long time to get to the point when you've corrected that data, and then you're back into the process where the business process is complete, or at least able to continue moving forward down the chain that is following on from those business processes. So the time to resolution on that, norms that, you know, it takes a long time. Obviously, it's going to change, and it's a piece of string with regard to how long that's going to take, depending on the business process and the business interruption that's caused. But what we're looking to do with what we do as back office, and what we do with the DSP Monitor solution and this closed loop and this cyclical data quality remediation, is we're looking to bring all of this forward, basically. We're looking to bring this forward using our data quality and remediation processes. So we've got full visibility in the functionality that we bring, with data quality scoring, with the reporting capabilities and the analytics that we build into the solution. We've got ownership directly built into the solution. So we start driving the concept of data ownership and data stewardship into our corporate landscape. And that may well be a light touch or the starting point to a full information governance approach. With data quality, we can start instilling those good practices of data ownership and data responsibility into that business. We're looking to govern the data quality remediation processes, and we've got those direct updates. If you want to use them, then we can do that. We call it posting. We have the ability to post the data once fixed and once checked, all auditable, and then automatic posting of that data back into the target system. So it allows us to really go that full circle, identify the errors, route it to the relevant party, have it reviewed by the relevant steward or party in that side of the business, and once happy, then they can post that data back. And that could be a mass change or an individual change that's going through the business. So it really allows us to automate the entire cycle. It's eliminating or reducing those business process interruptions down to the absolute minimum. It's allowing us to remediate in an incredibly rapid fashion through that process, and allows us to track that against known SLAs that we define. And it allows us to automate that failed data workflow. As I say, it's all about speed, and it's all about the capability of getting that data in the right hands as quick as possible. And it's providing a repeatable, auditable data change process as we go along. The auditability is key if you're working in those regulated environments. A lot of other tools out there will allow you to fix data, mass change data, etc. But it's that auditability, it's that centralized capability and understanding with the metrics, etc., to understand the impact's been had and who's making that impact on the business. And here is this concept, this cyclical approach, and what we call it here, find, measure, and fix. So we're using DSP Monitor. We're using Monitor to register our policies, register our rules, and allowing us to capture that, and then we're running those rules against our enterprise landscape. We're then using Monitor to report on those, to push those reports out and group those reports together by data object or by application system or just by a grouping as well, in whichever way you want. And you can have your own favorite reports, etc. So you can make it as easy as possible to see and get notified of that information. The measuring, the metric capturing, etc. again is all in DSP Monitor. So all of the data quality aspects there are captured within that one application, DSP Monitor. But then if we want to fix the issues, and it may be that we don't, some of the time that data quality report could be manually handled back on the source systems or the target system. But at other times, you'll want to put that full closed loop in place. You'll want to put the fix element of it in place within the tool set as well. And in which case, then we use our DSP Compose capability to allow you to send the failed data directly from DSP Monitor, trigger that process into a workflow, notify the relevant parties that are going to resolve the data quality issues, and then to send that data for review, and then back into the posting cycle if you wish to do so. Obviously, then we continue around the cycle with monitoring again to see the impact that's had, reporting, measuring, etc. as we move forward. So it eases the efforts to comply with our regulatory side of things. It allows us to make effective decisions, and it also allows us to use standard tool sets that the business are familiar with. With Compose, we can communicate with the business using email. We can obviously do it inside our tool as well, but most businesses would require that the notification goes out via email, and the business users themselves can work with the data sets in a controlled MS Excel environment if that's what they wish to do. They can work directly on the application, but they can take it out to tools that they're familiar with, so it limits that training requirement from a data quality perspective. Getting into the types of reports in data quality that we're looking at here. So we're looking to identify errors, but also operational insights. So we're not limited, like some of the data quality tools, to just highlighting errors within your data. There may well be reports that you wish to build that are just informational reports. So there's information that helps me guide the process and allows me to understand the quality of the data, but it doesn't want me to take action. It's not an actual problem with the data set, and you can see an example there on the screen. So it's providing analytics and intelligence basically around the process. We can also use reports that capture metrics. So how many of something. So they're providing the KPIs, and that KPI can be driven against any business or data element that you wish to use it against. But it allows us to then capture thresholds. It allows us to set metrics and capture those metrics and track them over time within the application, within the monitoring and quality application. And then there's the error side of things. Obviously, the key point that we've been talking around up to now is around identifying the business process interruptions, incorrect analytics, things that will have a business impact that needs to be resolved, errors that in the data that need to be fixed. So those errors are the ones that are going to trigger our full data quality cycle, because those are the ones that are going to transfer through the process. So those are the ones where you would look to put the remediation in place, and those are the ones you look to fix as you move forward with resolving those errors in the part of the business process. So this is just looking a bit more of the process flow around this. So DSP Monitor, the first element that we've been talking about, as I said, it's made up of two components, DSP Monitor and DSP Compose. DSP Monitor is where we're going to capture those data policies, the policies around data quality, and we're going to be running the monitoring against data objects and against our business systems to ascertain the quality of the data, information or metrics around that data that we're looking to store. And we're looking to look at those data quality. So with our dashboarding capabilities, etc., we can see the levels of our data quality within the business and take quick action where it's falling below defined thresholds. So where there are policy violations, I guess we would call them there. So we're analysing it, we're notifying the relevant data stewards, and they can also come in directly, or they can be notified automatically by the toolset. What we then do is then we move on to the DSP Monitor, moving into DSP Compose. So we're moving into there where we can coordinate that rapid remediation and accurate remediation of data quality issues. So we can work that in either a single value or a mass update scenario. We have quality checks at the point of entry, i.e. we have validation rules that run when they enter the data to fix the data. So we're not allowing the same errors to continually fall through the gap. They can work with the business users, and it can directly communicate with the business users that are assigned to these processes. And they can work either within our web application interface, doing mass update, mass approval processes, or they can also enter data via spreadsheets, controlled spreadsheets, and I'll make that point again, controlled spreadsheets rather than free entry spreadsheets. So we lock that sheet down, we bring down the drop-down lists, etc. So again, we bring those validations out into the spreadsheet to control what they're entering. There's an approval process, if required, in that setup, and then we can push that fixed data out and back into the business systems in that scenario. So, looking at that process, where's the data coming? So this is just a rapid or closed-loop remediation. Again, it's just taking those previous two slides very quickly. So the data is moving out, and the data coming in from systems, sensors, users, etc., into our application landscape. We're pulling that data through and monitoring that data using the Monitor and Compose capabilities. That data flows out to the relevant data steward. Notifications are made and it's flagged to those business units, and then we can route that data out from there for the other business users to then resolve, have those changes approved, and then that data flows back in alongside to post automatically back into your enterprise landscape. And that's just not limited to ERP systems like SAP or Oracle. That could be cloud-based systems as well. We're not limited to just on-premise in this scenario. We have our Universal Connect capabilities that allows us to talk to all the cloud systems as well. So if you're talking to a Salesforce or a SuccessFactors or an Ariba, Concur, etc., all of those systems are capable to run this process against as well. So what is DSP Monitor? Easy access and data quality across all the business, data quality scoring and standard quality dimensions, so using the industry standard dimensions like completeness, consistency, uniqueness, etc., but also allowing you to change that focus if you wish to have it by application or to have that by data object. It's entirely up to you how you choose to focus those dashboards down. You can drill down to the individual reports once you've got a look at the metrics and you want to drill down to see where you're missing and where thresholds are being missed, etc., that you've defined. And we color code all of that using either your own defined thresholds or industry standard Sigma level standards that we implement as well as basic part of the dashboarding capability. Completely customizable, as are the reports as well that you have within that quality solution. Here's just a bit more of a focus on that screen that was just being shown. So we can set thresholds based on the different quality requirements, and you can define those there, so you can see where we're setting to a second or two, or where we're hitting those different targets, etc., through there. We can measure and visually look at the data quality as where we're at. We can also see either straight percentages or Sigma levels, as I mentioned on that previous slide, so you can choose how your thresholds are defined within your data quality dashboards. And we can start drilling through this. So from the original data quality dimensions at the top, we can drill down here and look at it by group. We can look at it by application. We can drill down and look at it by individual data object if we wish, and then get down into the reports, tables, etc. And those tables link us back again to the actual target applications that we're monitoring against. So we can see the understanding of the physical model as well as the logical models and data objects that we're managing within our data quality solution. I mentioned this a number of times already. What we're looking at really is part of a cycle of bringing us forwards and preparing for full information governance. A data quality management program, it naturally evolves into a broader governance program. So we're heavily worked, and you may know us in back office associates for our work in data migration. And data migration is obviously where it's at that point that you're likely to have the best data quality because you've focused on it, you've got that data relevant, we talked about the 5 levels of quality that we're looking at. It's relevant, it's remediated, it's reconciled, and it's also been signed off by the business. So it's at a very good state when we get to that point of migrating into the cutover. But what tends to happen is obviously interfacing, users, third parties, etc. are going to be entering data, and that's when data quality starts to drop off again. When we then bring in the data quality solution, we can start instilling those best practices around information governance. We start introducing the concept of stewardship, of ownership of the data, of starting to get workflow and remediation as part of that process. And by bringing that into play, we then start bringing into question, well, how are we creating this data? Is there a better way to manage this data? And what you can look at there is some of our information governance solutions in DSP Conduct, where we allow you to get into that active information governance process, and where we use IGC to take you to another level. That's Information Governance Cloud that we have, that allows us to define those policies, define those rules, the strategy elements, how that ties to our corporate goals and initiatives, etc. So we're starting to introduce very good practices within data quality that can be furthered as we move into a full information governance program. So the benefits of the solution: we're looking for minimal interruption of business processes. We're monitoring on a daily basis, or however often you wish to run those processes, and we're assigning responsibility with regard to looking at the metrics and looking at the quality, but also the remediation processes. We're documenting those data quality processes and policies, and we're allowing you to highlight where those policies are being broken and where we need to then create deviations, etc., that are then causing us to then start to look at that and to looking to fix those data issues. We're looking for rapid, cost-effective and accurate data quality remediation. So putting in place tools that allow us to handle the notification, the actual data entry, and the post-data entry review processing, and then allowing us to post that data technically into the target systems. And as I said, cloud or on-premise, it doesn't matter to us. And obviously with the dashboarding and the charts that we have with the metrics, we can capture and provide full visibility into the data quality solution, into the monitoring of those situations, and highlight where policies are being missed against the thresholds that you define as a business. I talked about this a little bit earlier. What we're looking at is the fastest path to highest data quality. And we talked about getting it right. The right data, finding those violations and actions that matter, to the right person, at the right time, and in the right format. So giving the data to a person in the business in a format that they understand that data. And we are a multilingual platform. We do allow you to focus that. So if you are working across a full global enterprise, then those individuals that need it translated into their language, etc., can do so with regard to these processes. So there's a complimentary ebook available that can be got from the BoaWeb website, so www.boaweb.com. Please go on there. There are ebooks to download on there. There'll be a link in the description below that we have there. So if there's any further information, then please go there. There are other ones as well around our governance solutions and our migration solutions as well. So we're not just a data quality solution provider. We do provide across the whole information governance sphere that we've talked about and touched on today. So I'd just like to say thank you for your time. Hopefully you found this valuable, and I hope to be back soon and discussing other topics and other solutions that we have in our portfolio. Thank you.